You smell rust and antiseptic. The fluorescent lights in the looted pharmacy buzz like an injured insect. Shelves are ragged. The register is an empty shell. Every pistol you've ever stashed, spent. Every blade, blunted or gone. Behind you, heavy boots crunch plastic. You don't have time for heroics, you have a body. That's the hard, unspoken truth survival experts rarely advertise. When infrastructure collapses and tools become luxuries, your own structure, bone, joint, tendon, and torque, is the most reliable implement you'll own. Your skeleton is a crowbar. Your hips are a motor. Your breath is a timing device. This is not romantic, it is pragmatic. You are not a warrior in a dojo. You are a person whose options narrowed down to a single rule. Create an exit. Forget cinematic knockout fantasies. Think of the human body as a machine, with parts that move best when aligned. Know the machine. Use it to open the door and leave. If you want more practical collapse prep breakdowns, hit subscribe and stick around. This is the kind of instruction that changes how you move. Start with structure. Your bones are load-bearing architecture, not soft meat. Long bones like the femur, tibia, and humerus are levers. Your joints, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, are pivot points that transmit force when they're stacked correctly. Muscles are the engine. Tendons are the cables. When you punch, kick, bridge, or twist, you're not trying to brute through with arm strength alone. You route power from the ground up. That chain, foot, ankle, knee, hip, torso, shoulder, fist, is the kinetic chain. If one link is crooked, energy leaks. You'll feel it in your wrist, in a shoulder twinge, in a missed strike that never reached its target. A straight wrist, a squared hip, a driven heel. These are the differences between creating an exit window and hurting yourself trying. Think of the spine as a column, not a whip. Your hips are the engine room where rotational force is born. When you twist from the hips and let the chain do the work, even a relatively small limb can generate meaningful impact. When you rely on arm-only moments, you get tired fast and you risk joint damage. Mechanics matter more than muscle. Physics does not care how brave you are. Now, mechanics. If you must strike, you win by efficiency. You're not trying to impress, you're trying to get away. First, keep your hand safe. The fist is not a hammer. It's a compact striker that functions when aligned. The strongest striking surface is the first two knuckles. They sit on a line with the radius and ulna when the wrist is straight. Curl your fingers, tuck the thumb outside, and keep the wrist from bending on contact. This protects small bones and lets the force travel up the arm instead of snapping the wrist. Don't throw flailing punches. Use the legs. Your feet start the fight. Drive through the rear leg, rotate the hips, and transfer weight forward. Your shoulder and torso follow like a piston. Breathe out on impact. That exhale locks core tension and reduces the risk of holding breath under stress, which ruins coordination. Follow through enough to create effect, not to overcommit. Your body's reflexes on a trained repeat will become automatic. Practice with a competent coach to ingrain the path of force so that under stress, you don't forget to rotate the hips and connect. There's a myth about aggression. Hit harder, win. In survival, hit smart, use angles. A small angled strike to the right place does far more for an exit than a long telegraphed haymaker. Keep your chin tucked and your shoulders forward. That protects the airway and reduces exposure. Frame your strikes as tools to unbalance, to break a grip, to shock the opponent's equilibrium long enough for you to move out. Before we talk specifics about where to strike, a legal and ethical reminder. This content is defensive in nature. Use of force laws vary by jurisdiction. Techniques discussed here are for last resort self-defense and creating an exit. Seek professional training and know local regulations. Use force proportionally and only to escape harm. Targets. This is where spectators get theatrical and dangerous. Understand the physiology. Some points are fragile. Some respond predictably with reflexes that buy time. And some simply make an opponent think twice. You're aiming to create an exit window, not to inflict theatrical vengeance. Eyes are immediate and disruptive. A sudden obstruction to sight triggers protective reflexes. Even a light jab, an open hand thrust to the face, or a quick poke to the bridge of the nose can force a blink, a stumble, and momentary disorientation. This is not about causing long-term harm. It's about immediate sensory disruption. The throat is sensitive. Compressing the front of the neck can interrupt airflow and make someone reflexively pull back. This is a high-stakes zone, risky both ethically and legally, so present it as an absolute last resort when escape cannot otherwise be achieved. Target with the mindset. Create space, not to kill. The base of the skull and the jaw connection can upset orientation. A decisive shove or rotational force to the head can upset balance. Again, last resort. Avoid lingering or attempting finishes. Your objective is to break contact and move. Knees are mechanical hinges. A well-timed lateral kick or push that undermines the support leg can take weight off an attacker, making them stumble. Destroying mobility is a way to buy distance without causing permanent damage. Groin strikes are effective for immediate incapacitation, especially against heavier attackers. They work because they trigger intense reflexive pain and can force a protective posture, giving you the moment to run. Every strike you consider should answer one question. Will this create space now? If the answer is no, don't waste your breath. If you are listening and thinking, this sounds cruel, good. The aim is not cruelty. The aim is survival. Remember, disproportionate force invites legal consequences. Use restraint and escape-first thinking. Rehearse how to disengage once the window opens. Defense is not a set of blocks. It's distance management and timing. The first rule is avoidance. If you can leave, leave. If you can't, use distance to control the engagement. Small steps with quick cadence beat wide lunges. Footwork is not dance. It's repositioning for safety. Watch Muhammad Ali's footwork not for showmanship but for the principle. Stay light. Create angle. Keep the base under you. Sidestep instead of meeting force head-on. Pivot to open a new path. A lateral shuffle removes the line of attack and can expose the attacker's flank. Parry rather than collide. Redirect incoming force with a guiding motion, off the center line. A redirection redirects energy. A block meets it and doubles your load. Move your head. The human skull is a blunt instrument when it's a target. Tuck the chin on the approach and expose as little neck as possible. Stay low enough to make uppercuts miss and to set up a base to drive from. Low posture improves balance and allows you to use your legs effectively. Hands should be frames, not clumsy grapples. Use the forearm to create space. Use your palm to shove and break jaw lines of pressure. When someone goes for your collar or clothes, clamp your shoulder, control their trying arm, and use your hips to pry away. Remember that strength fades quicker than technique. Favor moves that leverage body mechanics over brute force. The ground is the place most people panic and lose. Statistically, the longer you spend on the ground in a violent encounter, the worse your outcome tends to be. You want to get up fast. Fight to your feet, not for a prolonged ground battle. But if you hit the dirt, physics still helps you. Your legs and hips are your power centers. Even when horizontal, they can create torque and shift weight. Guard is not a place to lie defenseless. It's a platform. When you're on your back, use your legs to keep the attacker off balance. Your feet can push into the hips, your knees can make frames, and your hands should control wrists, not fingers. Think in terms of fulcrums and levers. If someone is on your chest in mount, you don't try to muscle out with your arms alone. You trap an arm, gather a hip, and use a bridge, a powered, explosive hip extension, to tilt the attacker's center of gravity. That tilt creates a roll. In simple mechanical terms, create a pivot with one contact point and use the legs as the motor to flip the system. Practice this under supervision to feel the timing. The move is as much about shock as strength. Escapes from under mount rely on control more than brute force. If you can thread an elbow to control a wrist, you limit the attacker's ability to post. Trap the arm, secure the angle, bridge and roll. Don't try to win the fight on the ground. Win the opportunity to scramble up. The goal is to end up standing with a gap between you and danger. Chokes and grips deserve a brief technical note because they terrify people. If someone wraps your neck, tuck your chin and create space between their arm and your throat. You want to prevent full compression of the airway. Control the choking arm by peeling. Using structural leverage. Attack the thumb side of the hand because the thumb is often the weak link in the grip. Attack the fingers or the webbing of the hand to open the hold. Lightweight tools like the knuckles of your other hand, a palm, or any available leverage point can help. Again, practice these actions with a qualified coach. If you must strike while under a choke, aim to create that small breathing space and then move to a bigger action, not to finish the opponent, but to get air and run. Throughout all these maneuvers, rehearse the recovery pattern. Break contact, create distance, then escape. Don't stand and argue. Your objective is the perimeter crisis model. Remove yourself from the threat and find safety. All of this is filtered through the human brain's most primitive wiring. Adrenaline turns complex motor programs into fuzzy fragments. Fine motor skills degrade first. Buttons, laces, complicated sequences. Gross motor skills survive longer, pushing, shoving, moving. That's why training is about simplifying responses into gross motor programs that can survive the chemical storm. Stress inoculation drills are not for fun. They habituate the nervous system to the signal of danger so you don't freeze. Learn to manage your breath. Box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Helps down-regulate the sympathetic response and improves decision-making in the moment. It won't erase fear. It will buy clarity. Use it between fights, while you plan exit, and during short pauses to re-establish control. Conditioning matters. Train under pressure with a qualified instructor who understands stress inoculation. Practice at intensity, not violence. Run drills that combine sprinting, breathwork, and simple defensive maneuvers, so that under metabolic stress your hands still remember the path of force. Simulate the surprises, sudden grabs, off-balance shoves, being taken to the ground. Repetition builds automaticity. Muscle memory is the only thing that will stand in for experience when experience is not available. There are ethical lines you don't cross. Force used in self-defense must be proportional to the threat. We do not train for retribution. We train to survive. Know your local laws, use only in lawful self-defense. If you have questions, consult professionals and legal counsel. Don't invent doctrines in the dark because the world has gotten dangerous. Now for the truth that survival experts often avoid saying out loud. Heavier attackers are not invincible. Physics still applies. A heavier human has more mass to move, but also more moving parts that can be unbalanced. Your job is not to overcome strength with strength. Your job is to introduce an antagonistic force vector, torque, leverage, elevation change. Small rotations and offline forces can make a big person stumble. That often looks like a shove at the hip while you step to angle, or a low foot sweep that removes base support. These are not glamorous. They are not a title on a poster. They are tools for getting away. Another truth unspoken in many survival circles is this: success rarely looks clean. Expect bruises, awkward movements, hands that smell of other people's sweat and fear. Expect to run messy. Plan for messy. Your kit, when you can carry one, should support that mess. Bandage, cash, a way to call for help if radios still work. But remember, the first priority is your breathing and a clear path away. When the moment becomes critical, your decision matrix is fast. Prioritize escape. If an action creates that opening, take it and run. Don't waste success by savoring the experience. Movement equals survival. One hard last resort point to address bluntly. There are moments where the only window to leave is extremely narrow and demanding. There are structural strikes and manipulations that may create immediate incapacitation. These are dangerous, both physically and legally. They are to be considered only when your life is seconds from being taken and no other option exists. If you train to those extremes, do so under qualified supervision, with legal counsel, and with an understanding of the possible consequences. This message is pragmatic, not bloodthirsty. You should leave this with a plan, not a list. Your plan has 3 parts: avoid, prepare, execute. Avoid. Build awareness. Look for exits, remove yourself from choke points. Carry yourself with a posture that invites space, not predation. Scan consistently. Trust the feeling in your gut that tightens when a situation is wrong. Prepare. Train the body to respond. Build conditioned movement patterns that are simple and robust. Train breathing, footwork, and a handful of escapes until they feel automatic. Get guidance from certified combatives instructors. Rehearse with partners who know how to scale intensity. Execute. When threatened, choose the least violent option that yields safety. Strike to create space. Move angles, not straight lines. Get vertical if you're down. Run toward cover, then further. Don't argue or seek validation. You're built for adaptation. Your ancestors survived with less. You survive now with more knowledge. The unspoken truths are simple and unpretty. Physics will save you more often than bravado, and the quickest route out of danger is the best route. Your body is not a weapon of revenge, it's a tool of escape. Treat it with respect. Train it with discipline. Use it with restraint. If you want hands-on instruction beyond what a video can provide, seek certified in-person combatives or a reputable survival course. Link in the description. Train safely, lawfully, and under supervision. Know your laws. Know your limits. Get vertical. Get gone.